Hello, my name is Maya. Welcome to part 7, and yes, the final part of my Supernatural series, at least the non-Dean and Cass related stuff. So that's exciting. This has been 6 months of my life, and it's done now. It's coming to a close. So take it away past me one more time, I guess. 5 is already done. 20. We rolled a 20. My notes. I, being an insane person, have 470 pages of notes on Supernatural. Yes, that is insane. I'm not gonna say otherwise. It is absolutely not anything anyone is saying person would do. I have 470 notes on Supernatural in a Word document labeled Supernatural, and it covers season 1 to season 15, notes on every single episode. The notes vary from being like short expletives of what happened to very, very long overanalyzing of scenes. So it depends on what exactly was going on in the show that episode. So some episodes, like mostly the filler ones, I didn't take as many notes because there wasn't usually as much going on. If there's something more plot related, then obviously I'd pay more attention to that. But mostly because my entire goal was to figure out what was going on with Dean and Cass. Most of my notes, are actually Dean and Cass based. But what I thought I would do is basically read some of my amazing thoughts on this show. Really dive into what did I originally think that day that I wrote them. So we're gonna use the random generator again. A few more things about my notes before we begin. So action making, because I took all these notes, I was kind of unsure what I was going to do with all of these. I didn't know if I was necessarily making this. I decided to make little bingo sheets. So every 5 seasons of the show, I made bingo sheets, and then my best friends and I, we would play a bingo game, basically where like if there were themes running through the notes for like those 5 seasons, then I would put them in the bingo thing, and we would like randomly pick an episode, and then I'd read through my notes, and they would, go through and play the bingo. It actually ended up being pretty fun. We did play a drinking version of it one time for my birthday, so that was pretty fun. But yeah, so that was kind of another thing that I did with the notes, but they were mostly where I got a lot of my information from this video. Obviously, I didn't note down every single thing. Okay, we're doing a season 12 episode first. I was angry in season 12. I believe season 12 has 23 episodes, if I am remembering correctly. Which episode will it be? Episode 23, okay. So let's go there then. Season 12. I don't really know how I want to display this, because I don't want to read like all my notes because it was very long, but I wanted to give you a taste of the shit that I would write. So let me just see what I say. Episode 23. Oh, look. I didn't like it. I gave it 5 out of 10. This episode was bad. I didn't hate it, actually. There were some things I liked, but things got really weird. Like, even for Supernatural, it got really weird. Oh, yeah, okay. So that was, the episode that Jack was born. Jackie boo. Let me see. I was like, okay, so the episode ends with Sam finding Jack, and you may be like, Maya, does he find a baby? No, he finds a grown-ass hot naked teen sitting on the floor of the nursery. And damn, Cass bought all those diapers for nothing. Yeah, that's weird. I know he's like supernatural and all, but he would was he born a teenager? Is that even possible? No wonder Kelly died. I'm just a little weirded out, honestly. But sure, whatever, I guess. But sure, whatever. I guess at this point, whatever. Wow, this is when I really just given up. I didn't like season 12 at all. I propose a Lucifer and Mary love story in the alternate reality. At this point, I think it would liven the show up a bit and add a little angst, some fire, and a bit of forbidden love. Guys, you've done weird as shit. Honestly, I agree with what I said. Jack better be worth this shit, because I swear to Chuck, this season was absolutely painful. Like, truly and utterly, I hated the vast majority of what I watched this season. Wow. Okay, so that was some of my thoughts. I really just didn't want to go into the long-ass paragraphs I wrote, but I'll just cut this and give you guys, like, some brief things that I wrote. Let's do, like, a few more. Especially because, like, I got really wordy, so I would, like, sit for, like, a half hour, sometimes an hour writing these notes. Like, why did I waste all that time of my life? Season 5, okay, that's a fun one to look at. I wasted so many hours. Actually, one of my best friends did the calculation. Basically, 9 full days of my life, like 9 24-hour days of my life spent watching Supernatural, and then if you added on the amount of time that I actually, like, spent on the notes, it was roughly 16 full 24-hour days of my life spent on Supernatural. And that's not even adding, like, the amount of time I spent on this video, which I'm sure is going to be another, like, 4 or 5 full days of my life. So, was it worth it? Debatable. Okay, season 5, episode 22. Let's go there. Episode 22. Okay, I gave it a 10 out of 10. Oh yes, this is the original finale. According to Eric Kripke, it was going to go for 5 seasons, and this is how it was going to end. And honestly, they should have done that. Oh look, I can't stress how amazing this could have been as a series finale. I mean, they stopped the apocalypse, Sam sacrificed himself, and Cass is like the leader of heaven now, and Bobby is walking them back to normal. Dean goes and lives the normal life he's been craving to live, and that's it. That's the finale. It was sweet, emotional, tender, and beautiful. Just played Sam and Dean's connection beautifully, but no, can't let a good thing die, can we? You know what? That sums up Supernatural. They can't let a good thing die. They will beat that dead horse until I'm dead. Let's talk about character growth. So Dean tells Sam that he's into the plan, and he's decided to start letting Sam make decisions for himself. Sam is no longer a kid, and Dean needs to change his POV and also change his role in Sam's life. He needs to let Sam be his own person. And oh my god, that character growth though, it was beautiful. Aww. And then it was completely erased. I love when they do that. I love when they like grow the characters and their relationships and then just backtrack so they can have plot. Okay, so Adam came in and was Michael's vessel, and the shit given by me and Dean were so minimal. Wow, I was really not feeling that Adam plot line. Oh wait, I said something else. Adam, ... Adam, honey, you were brought back from the dead by this show just so you could be a replacement for Dean in the Michael situation, and then were immediately killed. I'm so sorry, that fucking sucks. And also, you didn't get to be a part of the brotherly love sandwich, and that is truly heartbreaking. It is truly heartbreaking. I don't really know what I'm referring to, but I'm sure it was something from this episode that I just forgot. The fact, oh my god, I remember this now. The fact that Sam / Lucifer looked through the window of the Impala and saw the fucking toy soldier, and that's what snapped him. Fucking stupid. No, Supernatural, at some point we need to draw the line. Oh my god, that reminds me of when Sam went to go confront Dean when Dean was like gonna go to his little corner of the galaxy, get sent there by death because he still had the mark of Cain. And and he came, sorry, I shouldn't laugh. And he came and he had like pictures, like because Dean has like pictures of their family, right? From when he was little, and he like came with the pictures and he like laid them out, and he was like, "This is family, Dean. Don't give up on family." I was like, do I barf? Like, do I cry? Like, do I barf? It was so cringy. I couldn't do it. I just figured out Crowley was in league with death. He had Death Seraph. Oh, that's what it's. No, I'm pretty sure it's called a scythe. I think I made that up here. It took me a moment, but I figured it out. Good for me. Also, Dean never got his next back. Honey, that's a reoccurring problem. Okay, one more. It's fun to kind of look back and see what I said in that moment. Because like, I remember that sometimes I actually really liked this show, and then you go to some of the later seasons and the anger, the absolute anger is just like brimming off of me about this show. I think that's really funny. Yeah, season 1, okay. Back when I wasn't really writing long notes because I really didn't. Again, as I said, I was doing this for Dean and Cass, so I really didn't write a lot in season 1. So it was like kind of down to my memory of things that happened in season 1 to like for this video. And obviously I could like Google stuff, but I didn't really remember it truly happened then, you know. It was kind of hard. Episode 22. Oh, I just logged them together. See, look how short this note is. Like this would not fly as like a season finale note in my later notes. Like my later notes were like 4 pages long for a season finale. Or like if something happened, like say Dean made a prayer apology or something, the note would be like 8 pages long for that one episode. And it would just be for that one scene because I would go through each like frame by the scene. It'll be worth it when I can make that Dean and Cass video later. Okay, so John gets a call from Meg, who is like, I have your friend here. Yeah, what happened to that friend? Who was that friend? I'm gonna kill him if you don't give me the gun ex machina. I guess I call it ex machina gun now. This is how I will be referring it from now on. No comments, please. Yeah, I appreciate that. John is like, well, best be going to save my friend, boys. You get to deal with the demon all alone. First of all, this makes no sense. The show has painted John out to be someone who would A, never trust the boys to fight that demon alone, and B, has an intense obsession with killing the demon and is willing to do anything to kill it, including ghosting his own children for like a whole year. John. And C, would do anything to protect his boys and was just last episode like, you can't come along and fight the demon, it's too dangerous. But now it's all, go fight the demon solo, gotta go save my bud. And I'm not saying that John doesn't love his bud or that he didn't do the right thing going to go save him, but I never saw that friend again. For all I know, he's dead, and John never mentions him again, so what the fuck? The whole thing was just one big gaping plot convenience to separate the guys, so they could not kill the demon this season, and the demon could possess 2-year-old Pops. So the boys are back to keeping secrets. No one thought to tell Dad until there was a reason about Sam's psychic abilities. But yay, they saved the families anyways. Woohoo! Dean showing how much he doesn't want his family to die was cute. Yeah. I think it's cute at the beginning. And then it's like, oh honey, no. Okay. The car crash was cheap, not gonna lie. The car crash was cheap. I was right. Anyways, that's a little taste of my notes. Luckily, we didn't get any of the extremely weird notes, so that's good. I did a lot of prep for this video, like a lot. It wasn't just me watching the show for 5 months. It was me spending hours afterwards writing notes for each of the show. And like, some days I couldn't watch the show because I wouldn't have time to like write the notes. And I was also working 2 jobs and in university full time and attempting to have a social life during COVID. So she really took up a lot of my time. I think at the end of the day, I really, really, really liked doing it. Like, it was a lot of work, but I did enjoy writing the notes, but I would never do it again for a show this length. Like, if I ever do this again, which I might, it would have to be like 5, like maybe 8 seasons max, and there could not be more than like 20 episodes per season. I can't do another 15 season, 23 episodes per season kind of deal. That's just, it was way too much of my time. 16 full 24 hours of my life I will never get back. And whatever else this video adds to that, I will never get that on the show that killed Dean on Rebar. Three? God, am I rolling? Oh, 3 is a thing. Okay, 3. So I rolled a 3. What is so empty? The bunker. Oh, yay. Okay. very much love the bunker. It is the great mystery of Supernatural. So let me tell you a little bit of the history of the bunker, and then I'll show you my art project. So the bunker was built by the Men of Letters, which is the super secret cult society that was like basically very much into the supernatural, and they wanted to collect and understand and study the supernatural. So they were basically just a bunch of dudes who in like the 50s made this secret organization. And Henry Winchester, their Sam and Dean's grandfather on their dad's side, was a part of the Men of Letters. So their legacies basically. And the Men of Letters were all wiped out by Abaddon, that lovely Knight of Hell demon. And so she wiped them all out except for like this one old guy and this other crazy guy who has like the first blade. We will meet him later. Then this other old guy has like the key to the bunker. So after they meet their grandfather and Abaddon gets introduced into the show, they get given the key to the bunker and then pointed in the direction of the bunker. And so they arrive at this bunker, and this bunker literally, I'm not kidding, has everything they could ever possibly need. It has like a dungeon, it has all the books on like all the lore. These Men of Letters have done experiments and research. So there's essays written, there's these old video clips of them doing research. They figure out how to do the demon cure based on the Men of Letters research that was conducted a while back. They basically have everything, and it was just them. And the Men of Letters function as kind of like the way that Bobby functioned for the American Hunters, but like more organized, where the Men of Letters would kind of like work with the Hunters, but they kind of saw themselves to be like above the Hunters too, because they would kind of like collect and give information and stuff like that, and then the Hunters would go out and do all the killing. When we meet Sam and Dean, the closest we have to the Men of Letters in the present day is Bobby. We saw its prime functioning in season 15, when Dean like turns off the, like just randomly goes down to the control panel and just like presses a button and is like, oh, all good, fixed it. And then Mrs. Butters comes up, and Miss Butters was like a wood nymph that was living in the Men of Letters bunker, and she was basically like their housekeeper and their mom. She like did their laundry, did all the cleaning, did all the cooking, like for however men were living there. I don't know, there's like endless bedrooms. And she like her powers are connected to the bunker's powers, so she's able to like amplify everything. So there's the telescope, which we learn can see into like alternate dimensions. Their command table, it actually works now, and it pings when there's like a monster close by, so they could go from there. A bunch of other stuff like the air conditioning, the water pressure, all that works better with her around. Also, she like cleans and does your laundry, makes you celebrate every single holiday, including birthdays. So the bunker's pretty interesting. And so before the bunker, Sam and Dean basically were homeless, and they were just bouncing around from like motel to motel. And then after the bunker, they actually started to permanently live there, and then it became like their little HQ. And then like Cass and Jack also called it home, and Sam set up his little Apocalypse World hunting kind of group thing there, and it basically just became like their home at the end of the day. So yeah, it was a really, you know what, the bunker was a good addition to the show, because I think having them bounce around between like motel and motel, like it was cool at first, but like they needed to have like a more stable base, and it does show like that they were kind of maturing more, that they wanted to have that more stable base. Like they really liked having their own rooms. Like Dean was pretty psyched about it, because they like never had a home. They hadn't had a home since like Dean was 4, and Sam was like, well, Sam kind of had a home in university, but like, you know what I mean? They didn't have a stable home. John didn't give them one, so the bunker was that stable home that they never got. I drew the layout plans for the bunker. So this is the main floor, and the first thing I want to know is that I spent, and I purely did this based off of context clues. So what I did was I would find a scene where I knew like a specific room was in the scene. And then I would basically try to calculate which directions they would go to while walking. The problem is they don't walk a lot of places. They don't walk in the hallways a whole lot in the show. They do it more in the later seasons because I'm guessing they had more budget to like make them more of the bunker. But like in the earlier seasons, we're basically here, and then we like see Dean's bedroom quite a bit, and the kitchen as well. But like, yeah, so I would basically would watch a scene and I would try to like figure out which directions everyone was coming from. And it was taking me a long time because yes, some of the doors are numbered, but a lot of the doors are not numbered, and there seems to be like an infinite amount of doors in this fucking place, okay? I watched so many clips, and I would like sit there and rewatch the clips and like make it so that I could purely like try to figure out which directions they were coming from and which directions they were going from to like map them out in the overall area using like the main library as my pinpoint. And then I did most of this and I had kind of made a layout, right? And then I looked up the second library, right? Because this is like the library that Chuck and Amara get trapped in, and also they see their alternate dimension versions of themselves. So I went to those episodes and I watched this second library episode, and I realized the door number name was 28, and I had been going under the assumption that there was 26 doors. So then I had to change the entire layout of this thing, and that's when I realized something. I was never going to be able to get all the doors because not even Supernatural knows what all the doors are, and there was no possible way for me to figure out exactly the entire layout because not even Supernatural knows the entire layout. So then I just kind of winged it a little bit. And then on the back, this one was a lot easier to make. This is the basement level and also like the garage, and this one was so much easier to make. Mostly because I had already figured out that I wasn't going to go ham and try to get all the doors and stuff like that, but also because this is where the dungeon is, and that scene where Billy's chasing Dean and Cass down the bunker hallways was absolute perfection. Okay, we saw every single turn they made. So I can tell you for sure certain that they left down this door, the basement door. They went this way, up, that way, straight, up there, and then into the dungeon. And I can tell you there's crossroads here, there's crossroad up there, and there's more down there. So that was really nice. And on top of that, they actually showed us the blueprint in season 12 when they get trapped in the bunker and they're trying to find a way out, and they're looking and they see that like this part is kind of like concrete so they can get through there, and the rest is like reinforced steel or something. I also found out that this is called the crow's nest. Hell no, am I calling that the crow's nest? That's fucking stupid. Anyways, so yeah, I basically was able to get the entire layout for like the garage and stuff like that. So that really helped me when it came to this side. So this side is a lot more accurate than this side. This side's a guess. But honestly, I'm actually pretty proud of it. I don't know, I think I might frame it or something. I honestly was not expecting it to look this good, which is hilarious because like, I know it's not super accurate, but I think honestly, it may be the only map of the bunker we have. I'm not gonna Google and see if they ever like released one because then I don't want to like break my spirit, okay? I wanted to go off of context clues, which made my life so much harder than it needed to be. But honestly, it was fun. So I'm gonna give like an overview, and then we'll talk about each of the rooms like as I give you an overview of this poster. But yeah, that was my journey. It was very frustrating. My roommate came home while I was trying to make this, and it was after I had just figured out that there was a room 28, and she literally said I needed to have a drink because I looked so defeated and done with life. So that should tell you how honestly frustrating this was for me. Worth it? Yeah, honestly, yeah, this was worth it. If nothing else, I love this, and I will continue to have this. I'm very proud of this. So like, don't hate on it, okay? I tried my best. This is the front of the bunker here, and I will show you what the outside looks like when we go over where I went on my filming tour. But basically, this is the outside. So the med ward is like on the other side of the entrance. So like the entrance is right above the med ward basically. So this is the main entrance here. And then this is a balcony that goes above. I am not a drafting or architect person. I took one drafting class in grade 9 and that's pretty much all I've got going for me. So this is not drawn to scale or anything, but there is a balcony that goes above here, and the main entrance is on the balcony here. There's like a chess set on here as well. And the med ward is like behind it. There's like a glass thing that follows it behind. And the med ward, it has like some beds. It's nothing super special. Jack goes there when he's sick and dying. Yeah. And then if we go from down here off the balcony, there's like a main stairs that go down into the command center. And they are stairs that like are on a curve, but I did not know how to draw that and I didn't want to try. So this represents stairs, by the way, like the lines here. Okay, and this is the command center. This is like the main hub of it. It has a little table in the middle that when it was functioning with Mrs. Butters could like light up and ping to different monsters. It also at one point could like track the angels. Like when the angels fell from heaven, it like went haywire and locked Kevin in the bunker, but like it was showing a bunch of the angels falling from heaven, and it like became activated. So that's the like main command center there, and then there's some stairs and going up into the main library area. So this is like, I would say, the part of the bunker that we see the most of, like the command center and the main library here. So there's bookcases along here. There's like storage there. They've got like some random chairs, and they've got like the 2 tables here that run along here with chairs there, and they do their research in there. They've got some chairs over there where they like sat and drink and stuff like that, have emotional talks there, they fight there, they have almost killed each other here in this room. This room's very special. And then if we go back here, we'll go this way. So this is the connecting hallway here. There are stairs here, and this connects to the kitchen. So the kitchen is one of the other most used rooms in this entire show. The kitchen has like fridge, stove, places you can store your food, all that jazz. There's a kitchen table where they have emotional talks there or get drunk. And then if you exit the kitchen, so this was a guess. Okay, so there is a hallway that connects from like when you leave the kitchen that goes down here, and I do not know for certain that it actually leads to the med ward, but upon looking outside of the med ward's room, I was able to see that it did look like an end room. So the end rooms kind of curve, which is kind of what I figured out. So if it's like at the end, it curves a little bit. So I figured that this kind of made sense, because if the med ward is behind here and this is the exit there, then if there is actually a route that leads down here, then maybe it is on this side. It could also be on this side though, but this was the guess I took. So then if we continue along here, this layout I am pretty sure of. I know there's one room here. I cannot tell you what this room is, and I don't think it has a room number either. But when like Dean and Sam are walking down the hallway after Dean was possessed by Michael, and they're like talking about what happens, they take this route here and then out into the command center, and they run into Cass and Jack there. I don't know where this I don't know what's over here. But this is a route they do take, so there's that. And then we continue up here, and okay, so this I know for certain this is where Jack's bedroom is. This I am sure of. This is the route that you take. Go this way, because when Dean was walking from the kitchen to Jack's bedroom to, like, I'm assuming to go to his bedroom, this was the route he took. And that was the scene where Jack was stabbing himself in his room. because the light was on there, so you turn there. And I know that there's one room here, and I know there's one room here. So I do know the room numbers. Jack's room number 22 and Sam's room number 21. So I made a guess, and I made it so that Jack's room was right across from Sam's room. And I don't think this is too much of a leap. I may be wrong. This was once again a guess based on the numbers, but I do know that like the bunker numbers don't necessarily like go next to each other or anything. So I could be very much wrong, but I made this guess just based on what the numbers were, because I know these are in fact the 2 numbers of their bedroom, and I know this is in fact Jack's bedroom. So Sam's bedroom is a little bit up in the air, mostly because when I was trying to figure out where Sam's bedroom was, and the episodes that I looked at, and maybe I missed an episode, there's so many episodes, I could have done that, obviously. I wasn't going to look back on every single episode, so maybe I did miss one where they did give me more context clues, but he comes and goes from different areas of the bunker and enters and exits into the main library and command center from different parts of the bunker every single time. So I had to just come to the fact that I was basically just going to have to take a chance and put Sam's bedroom here just based on the numbers. But also I think that just because when Jack did first move into the bunker, everyone was super unsure of him, and Dean was like on the Jack hate train. I could see Sam putting Jack right across from him so that he could like keep a better eye on Jack. So I could see that being a thing. Okay, then this layout here, we go up, and I know this is room 25 because I saw her room number as she was crossing. I don't know what's in this room, but I know she is room 25. I don't know which room this is, but I know there's one right across from room 25. And we go up here. This is once again another guess that I took. This was mostly for space because I needed to include this library over here because this is like an important room. So I made the guess that we go off this way because I know that this corridor ends with this room here. So when I saw room 28 and I knew that this was room 25, I had to kind of make a guess. So I took a turn here, and I know this room exists. I don't know what's in this room. There's no number on this room either. So I made it so that you turn this way and you go up here, and here's room 28, the library. This does kind of make sense because when Dean and Jack enter and Jack's a bomb, it makes sense that they would go this way to get to the library, and then like Chuck would come out this way and be angry. So that kind of made sense to me, but it's this is a guess. This is definitely a guess here. But yeah, this is the second library. I don't know a name for it. I don't know if there's an actual name for it. It's just like a room with books and like a table and like a little balcony in the room for some reason. And so I called it library number 2 because there's like bookshelves in there as well. But yeah, that's the room where Chuck and Amara were absorbed as one. Woo! And then this room, I don't know what's in this room, but I know she exists. And then if we go this way, I know that like technically, I don't really think that Cass like technically had a bedroom, if this makes sense. But like, hear me out. I remember I was listening to this interview. I was like watching this interview with them I think it was it all 3 of them? Was it Jensen, Jared, and Misha? I think it might have been. Anyways, yeah, so they were talking about like Cass not having a bedroom, or I don't know. I remember, I don't actually know the context of this, but I know that like at one point there was like, oh, Cass doesn't have a bedroom. But I would like to refute this point because in season 12, after, we get that whole mixtape scene. I love that scene. And Dean leaves to go talk to Sam, and then Cass leaves as well, but he like took the Colt out of Dean's room unknowing. And so like Dean goes to like talk to Cass, and he goes to this room 15, which makes me believe that like this is like at least a room he stays in sometimes. So I just called it Cass's bedroom. And I kind of made up the fact that there's one across from it. And I also, yeah. And then if we go along here, this is the connecting to the main library. So I know that this door does in fact connect to like the upper area, because we see a lot of them like enter and exit through via here when they're coming out of the bedroom or whatever. And so here's another guess that was made. So Dean's bedroom is number 11. This is true. So I knew that it had to be like further away from like their bedrooms because that would make sense. And I made it so that this is the higher numbers on this side and then it goes lower numbers on that side. And then if Cass's bedroom is 15, then it would have to be closer to Cass's bedroom. And I kind of made up this corridor down here. So Dean's bedroom is 11 and I know that his is on like a flat corridor. So this kind of makes sense for me. I think it is up here. I think it's most consistently portrayed as Dean's bedroom being in this corner of the room, of the bunker. So this is where he will sit. Bathroom with shower is based off of that one comment that Dean made at the end of season 11 when Chuck comes back and he's like chilling in the bunker with them. And Dean mentions that Chuck's singing kept him up all night, like singing in the shower kept him up all night. So this made me assume that Dean must have a bathroom with a shower near his bedroom. Yeah, this is what I assume, because like I don't really know where the bathrooms are because we never see them enter or exit bathrooms, but he must have had one close there if Chuck's singing was able to keep him up at night but not keep Sam up at night. And then I think there might be one room across from Dean's, but this is again me guessing. And I just left this open because, as I said, this is like I can never fully put all the doors, and I don't know how many doors there actually are, and I don't know like how the minutia of all of the hallways there. It's very much not a very it's just a maze, honestly. So I just kind of made it so it was ending, it could go further there. And then this hallway connects somewhere down there, but I don't really know where. And then if we go down this hallway, so now we're on the other side of the bunker. Bathroom with the bath, so that when we see when Eileen's being brought back from the dead, there's a bath. And I swear, when I tell you, I literally did not know they had a bath, and that bath kind of looked new to me when I first saw it. So I was like, where the fuck did they get that bath? Like I was like, what? And then we never see the bath ever again. But Sam exits from this side, right, and says that Eileen's in bed now. So I'm just assuming, I just made an assumption and put the bedroom with the bath there. That's all I can really say. And the laundry room, we never see them enter or exit the laundry room. We see the laundry room once in the last episode, and it's the only good thing that last episode gave us was a laundry room. And so I put it here because I feel as though they both wouldn't want to be near the laundry room because it would be loud. There's the connecting hallway down there. And then I put the Dean cave here because I did realize that when I was watching that scene, I could see that it did curve, right? And the Dean cave does look like, to me at least, an end room. So I put the Dean cave here. Again, we only ever see the Dean cave once, and it's in the Scooby Natural episode in season 13, and then we never ever see it ever again. But yeah, it was like Dean's little man cave, basically. And yeah, so that's kind of this, okay? This is the main part here, and then we will go down to the basement now. Okay, so that's the stairs to the main floor there, and then I know that there's a corridor that goes up here, and I know it curves here, but I have no idea what's over here. It may connect to the garage somewhere, or it may go on a mysterious jaunt around the place. I couldn't even tell you. And then we go down this corridor here, and I know that there's one that goes up there. Again, I don't know what it connects to. It could jaunt around the place as well. And then I know that there's one that goes this way. Again, I couldn't tell you what that connects to. And then we'll go down here again. Don't know what's over here. We never get to see. And then this is the hallway here that leads up to the dungeon. So this is like it's kind of like half a dungeon, half a storage room. And it's 7B. And this is where Cass dies. They have a little pentagram in the dungeon there. They at one point had like a video camera that was going into the dungeon, and then they forgot that they put a video camera into the dungeon and never used it ever again. And I was like, oh, joy. And then this was in the blueprint. I have no idea what this is, but it's like probably a hallway that leads down to the mechanisms here that open the tunnel. so they can exit the garage. This is their garage. There's a bunch of like vintage cars in the garage, and we like never see them in the garage, which is hilarious because I feel like Dean would love the garage because there's a bunch of vintage cars and he loves cars. We only ever see it in a few episodes. Again, this was on the blueprint. Apparently there's a huge fucking bathroom here. So I don't know who's going to the bathroom during the garage, but if you ever need to, there's also one on the other side. And then this is like the boilers here, the electrical room. We see that a few times. Another boiler here. This was just here. And there's another bathroom over here. This was on the blueprints. And then the gym. I'm pretty sure we see Jack and Bobby working out in the gym in like beginning of season 14. Also, so there's a shooting range in season 7. In season 8, when Charlie comes to visit, there's a shooting range. And I'm going to put it in the gym, mostly because I don't want to figure out where the fuck that would be. But we never ever see the shooting range ever again. Like, when I tell you that the garage and the shooting range would give me visceral rage whenever we wouldn't use it. Like, I remember one time, oh my god, it was in season 9, and they needed to, like, get a car, right? And, because Sam, being possessed by Gadriel, had taken the Impala. And so they went all the way to Cass's broken down car in the middle of nowhere to like grab his car so they could have a car to go somewhere instead of using a car from the garage. Like, they could just go fill up some gasoline like containers and like fill up their garage with that. So if they ever needed to take any of the cars, they could just fill up the cars with gas and then take it. And why did we go get Cass's car that he forgot to fill with gas? This is the problem. He didn't know how to fill it with gas, but he knows how to drive. What? These potholes. As you may have guessed from me going on my little mini rant about the missing of the shooting range, the bunker to me was just so inconsistent. It was such chaos. It was such inconsistent chaos. Like, when I tell you, I don't think Supernatural had a plan, I mean it. Because they would sometimes forget, like, that they ever did anything, you know? Like, the shooting range, why did we never see them go to the shooting range ever again? Would that not be useful? Would that not be something they would want to do? Why did they do that? Why did they introduce the shooting range and then we never see it again? I also don't understand the mechanisms of them having running water and, like, heat and like air conditioning and all that shit. And I understand that like they kind of explain it away as like, oh, we don't know why we have like hot water and all that and the plumbing, and it's like, oh, just supposed to be like magical bunker ex machina. And it's like, no, explain it to me. But you know what keeps me up at night? You know what actually gives me visceral rage? So like they have like Wi-Fi and internet and cable. And you cannot tell me they don't have these things. I see them using their electronics in this underground bunker. They're using the internet, right? So they must have like Wi-Fi or internet connection. And they can't steal from their neighbors. They're in the middle of goddamn nowhere, okay? This is a secret bunker. There are like no neighbors. They're not stealing their Wi-Fi from like their neighbors, okay? They need to have their own little Wi-Fi system. This is like an underground bunker, okay? You need to put the Wi-Fi in there. So did they like call up their local Wi-Fi provider? I don't know what you guys have in the States. I will use Shaw as an example to all of my Canadian people, or maybe this is a Vancouver thing, to all my Vancouver people. I'll use Shaw as an example. Did they call their local Shaw technician to come in and like connect them to like Wi-Fi and internet and give them a cable package? And I know they have cable. How do I know they have cable? Cass was watching daytime television. You can't watch daytime television without cable, okay? So, and I know they have Netflix too. They have TVs that are capable of watching Netflix because Sam's TV has Netflix. Netflix requires a Wi-Fi connection, correct? Correct. Like, so, like, did they call the Wi-Fi technician to their super secret bunker to set up their Wi-Fi and their internet and their cable? Like, did they pay? Like, that's super suspicious, first of all. Like, I don't know, I've never actually set up my own cable, so maybe I'm like blowing this out of proportion. But like, I feel as though putting your super secret bunker like address in, and then the Shaw technician guy like showing up there and like setting it up, like I feel as though this would be red flag. You know, like you can't. And then Dean makes like a comment about how he can't like call a plumber to come fix stuff at the bunker when the water was having some problems in that Mrs. Butters episode. And I'm like, oh, okay, so you actually don't want people to come to your super secret bunker, but you have Wi-Fi. Do you not have Wi-Fi at your super secret bunker? Also, how do they get cell phone reception down there? This is like an underground super secret bunker, and they have like cell phone connection. I can't even get cell phone connection in my bedroom sometimes. And I don't live in a super secret underground bunker. Okay? Like, either they have the best cell phone providers ever, or this is just a big plot hole, because this is an underground bunker with reinforced steel. This was built in the 50s. They weren't building it for like cell phone connection, and yet they have like cell phone connection in their underground bunker. But the Wi-Fi thing, okay, I guess they could Google stuff on their phones if for some reason they have like the most amazing cell provider ever and they can get data reception down there. Fine, but like, what about their laptops? And that one time they had like an iPad. No one asks for the Wi-Fi password when they go down there. Am I missing something? Is there some way to hack like your computer to have like forever Wi-Fi? If so, put it in the comments. I would love to know. But also, I don't think, you know, especially the cable, there is no possible way. I mean, I guess they like, but like in the 50s, would they really have like the wherewithal to put like a satellite? I guess they could put a satellite up too, but then again, they'd have to like go get the satellite, right? And why would they? But that doesn't explain the way that, like, in the 50s, they weren't gonna put like a satellite out for like a modern day television cable thing, would they? Like, I don't know how a lot about 50s technology, but like it doesn't seem as though that would be something they would have the wherewithal to do. And I knew they didn't have Wi-Fi, so they didn't put in a Wi-Fi system, okay? There's no possible way that they could have put in a Wi-Fi system in the 1950s. I refute to believe that. You can tell me that they somehow have running water, and you can tell me that they somehow have heat and all this shit. Fine, I will understand, but you cannot tell me that this bunker that was built in the 1950s would have the wherewithal to put Wi-Fi access. Or was it built in the 1850s? If it was built in the 1850s, that's even worse. I don't know, Sam just says the 50s, and I don't remember the exact date, honestly. But my point is still made, okay? There is no possible way, no matter what, if it was built in the 1950s or the 1850s, there's no possible way they would have put Wi-Fi connection in, and there's no possible way that like they could have like the wherewithal to put in like cable outlets, okay? There's just no way. I don't care if it was state of the art. There's no possible way that they would know to do that. So like, explain it to me. The bunker makes me angry. I love the bunker, but the bunker doesn't make any sense. The bunker's rooms appear and disappear. The bunker shouldn't have Wi-Fi or internet or cable connection if they're gonna make a big deal about how they can't bring anyone there. And I still think it's stupid that they just said, oh, we just magically have all of this water and heat and all that jazz that still works. But also, I loved it enough to draw an entire fucking map, so oh my god, the plot holes. Should I change my method here? 19, okay, good. Okay, so 19 for the boys. The metaverse. Supernatural actually has like a very complex metaverse to it. Like, it might be one of the most meta shows I've ever watched, and it just kept on adding to the meta, to the point where like Chuck was just a metaphor for the supernatural writers in the end, and the characters were trying to break free from supernatural. So it like starts off slow, it's like a slow build, and then all of a sudden it's just, oh, this entire thing's just meta. So I'm just gonna go over all the instances of the metaverse and explain what's going on in this show. So Supernatural, before season 4, had an episode in season 2 where they had the guys go to this like filming studio for a case because there was like a ghost on set, and the episode was pretty standard content. Jared Padalecki plays Sam, played Dean and Gilmore Girls, and they made a remark about that, like when doing the tour of like the fake Gilmore Girls set, that they would see, you know, someone who was on the cast of Gilmore Girls. They had Sam and Dean remark how the weather wasn't very much like California and more like Canadian weather, which, yes, that's Vancouver weather. It's gray, it's rainy, it's disgusting about 80% of the time. I don't know how they managed to not have that much rain in this show. Like, kudos, that's a fucking talent. It was not raining a lot in Supernatural, and I think we need to appreciate someone who lives in Vancouver, that they were able to find a way around the rain. I don't know how they did it. It rains like every day here. They had like the guys working on the you know, set of a fake movie being filmed, and it was a horror movie, so they, you know, they could comment on the inaccuracies of the horror movie. They had Dean be like an assistant or something. Anyways, it was pretty like classic kind of meta where they, you know, they just go to a filming studio and it's like, oh look, you're filming an episode where they're at a filming studio kind of deal. They also have like their Ghost Facers episode in season 3 that was shot like one of those fake ghost hunting TV shows. Then of course like the professional and real ghost hunters, Sam and Dean, show up and hilarity ensues. Once again, it is fun to like pair the fanatics who are really into the supernatural but have like never hunted before and have no idea what they're doing with like Sam and Dean, who are professionals in this universe. And it makes them like, makes Sam and Dean feel more real to the viewer because you watch them like interact with a real life fake ghost parody show. So it's like they're interacting with like something you would see on like MTV or something. Then in season 4, episode 18, the meta kind of gets really meta. So we find out there are supernatural books that have been written in this universe, the supernatural universe, and they cover the events of the first 3 seasons. And guess who wrote the books? God, it's fucking Chuck. His pen name is Carver Anlin. His prophet name is Chuck when he's pretending to be a prophet, and then he just wants to go by Chuck, but he's God. So Supernatural had God write supernatural fanfic within the supernatural universe. It like gets even more meta when the guys meet fans, because every fan they meet seems to believe that they are kind of just cosplaying as their own characters, which is honestly kind of hilarious, because they'll have the fans like talk about their lives as though they're just plot points or character developments, or they'll have them like imitate the low raspy voice, or like Sam and Dean will roll up in their fake ass suits with their fake ass FBI badges, and the people will be like, oh my god, look, you're just cosplaying as them. And they won't even take them seriously. And it's just kind of funny. I think that's an interesting way to like make your characters feel more real, because you're having them react to having their lives broken down like one would analyze a character. Like how I spent like way more time than necessary analyzing all the main characters. That's exactly what these fans would do. So it's like having Dean react to my analysis kind of deal. As a real person, you wouldn't want your life trivialized in a way that points out how like having your dad die was good character growth and an interesting plot point. You know, that's kind of like disrespectful to a real person. So it kind of makes them seem more real when you see them being like, no, well, this trauma you shouldn't be trivializing as like a character development point, because I'm a real person that has feelings and I feel bad about that. And it's like, especially when someone is looking at that tragedy as a form of enjoyment. It's like if I were to look at something bad that happened as my best friends and be like, oh look, there's their character development and this episode here, and this will lead to them doing this, and then like having fun plotting out their character arcs based on their trauma. Like that's just disrespectful. So it actually does make like you think that Sam and Dean are more real than just a typical character in a sense. Like, for instance, you know, I am that fan that thought John's death was good character development for Dean, but Dean would hate me for saying that because obviously, you know, that's his dad who died. And then Supernatural also realized that they had the mechanism to tell the fandom what they think of them, which is bold, I might say. I don't really think that shows should ever tell the fandom what they think of like their shipping habits or their interpretation of the show. Like having Sam and Dean react in disgust to finding out that people ship them is kind of like them telling the fandom, that's how Sam and Dean would react to your guys' fanfics, so like cut it out, we don't like it. And I honestly don't think that as a TV show, even though I don't ship Sam and Dean or anything, but I don't think you have a right to tell the fans how to perceive or interpret your show. Like, it's not the same as if they were like shipping the actors or something. Then you can be like, can you cut that out please? They're real people. But like, Sam and Dean are fictional, even if you're trying to make it meta. So it's like, you don't really have a right to tell the fans how to interpret your show. You know, you put it out there and now it's up to the fans to get what they want from it. Like, I can understand as like an author that it might be a little bit annoying to have someone interpret your art in a way that you don't want them to, but that's kind of the risk you take when you put your art out for people to interpret. And I don't really think you can go out there and be like, no, I don't want you to do that. Don't do it. Because it's like, at the end of the day, that person's watching your show, right? They're paying for you to continue to do your art, right? They buy stupid cardboard cutouts so you can, I mean, the show's already done, the cardboard cutout buying was for nothing. I mean, maybe it goes in their pockets a little bit, but you get the point, right? Like, they're supporting your art, so you can't really be mad at them if they don't have the interpretation you want from your art. I don't really think you have a right as an author to say that. At least in my opinion. I know maybe other people might like disagree with that, but I don't think you have a right to tell people how to interpret your art once you put it out into the world. Anyways, this also gives them a tactic to like be self-aware and make fun of themselves and show that they are in on the joke with us, which at first was really fun. And then when we got to like season 12 and the show was bad, the joke of them being self-aware was no longer fun because I wasn't having fun anymore and they were still doing bad things. Like, just because you joke about it doesn't mean I didn't have to watch the entire British Men of Letters plotline, okay? So the next meta episode is kind of similar to the one in season 2. Basically in season 5, episode 8, Gabriel the Archangel, with nothing better to do than to mess with Sam and Dean, traps them in a bunch of TV shows. So we get like parodies of Grey's Anatomy with Dr. Sexy MD, we get a parody of like family sitcom, The Laugh Track, Japanese game show, police procedural drama, and what I assume is a Knight Rider reference because there was a talking car, but I've never actually seen Knight Rider, so I can neither confirm nor deny that. And I liked that episode a lot, and I think that they can do cool things like this because they have the capacity in a supernatural universe to do something like this. So it makes the characters feel more real because they are in TV shows that like would play at the same time that Supernatural would play. They're in Grey's Anatomy and they're like making fun of Grey's Anatomy. No offense, I watched 9 seasons of Grey's Anatomy. I really can't, I have no platform to stand on and make fun of people who watch Grey's Anatomy. I watched 9 seasons of it. After the amount of plane crashes and hospital shootouts, I was over it. I couldn't do it anymore. I didn't want to see the 4th hospital shootout. I was over it. But I did watch 9 seasons, so I'm not coming for Grey's Anatomy, okay? But like it's self-aware, right? Again, so you're kind of like, you put them in the TV shows and they kind of like interact with TV shows that would play at the same time. It's, again, you got the self-awareness of it all, you got the meta of it all. And then the episode right after that, episode 9, season 5, episode 9, is when Sam and Dean go to a Supernatural fan convention, and they're invited by Becky, who's a crazy fan, who is in love with Sam, and knows they're actually Sam and Dean. She's a huge part of the metaverse. She also dates Chuck at one point. Like, this random-ass girl dates God. I mean, he fucking, like, God fucking sucks. but she still dates God. Imagine that flex. I mean, she didn't know she was dating God or anything, but imagine the flex of saying you dated God. Even if God is an asshole and kind of a dick and kind of useless, you can still flex by saying, I dated God, like literal God. Didn't work out for her in the end. She got obliterated, but she dated literal God. I mean, like, that's a huge flex. Forget Sam, okay? He's not much of a flex, but God, you can flex that shit, okay? That's pretty fucking impressive. No one else has probably dated God. Well, I mean, Chuck probably got around, but still, that's very impressive, Becky. Anyways, once again in this episode, we have some like fun self-awareness, like having all the fans pretending to be Sam and Dean, talking in the low voices with their fake FBI suits and fake badges, and they all say super dramatic things like Sam and Dean would say. And once again, Sam and Dean are not happy about this and how people talk about and dissect their lives. And there's of course like a real haunting at the convention, and so they have to work with a bunch of fake Sam and Deans who think they know how to be a hunter because they read the books. And once again, like we have the characters interacting with someone like me who would, you know, have read the books and think I know everything. And I'm working with professionals, so I don't really actually know anything. I just like read a book one time and obsessed over a book. It's like if I were to like roll up to a Greek mythology class and be like, guys, you don't need a professor who studied this for years. You need me who loves Percy Jackson. Like, no. So it's kind of like that deal. And like, again, they gave us a lovely PSA, don't ship Sam and Dean, no go. And a friendly PSA from our friends at Supernatural. Don't ship Sam and Dean. Don't worry, the Cass and Dean PSA comes later. You can't tell fans. You can't do that, Supernatural. Like, you just can't do that. I mean, they did, and no one stopped them, but I'm saying, like, it's a little bit, like, you can't do that. They had season 6, episode 10, which I'm pretty sure was meant to be, like, an X-Files style ripoff. Like, they had, you think Dean was getting abducted by aliens, but it was actually fairies. Because the one thing they won't do in this show is aliens, because they did aliens in X-Files. Like, they'll do literally everything but aliens. And they'll be very clear there are no aliens. And they'll like tease aliens every once in a while. Like Gabriel at one point pretended there was an alien abduction. But they won't do it. There's no aliens. Which brings me to the fact that I'm pretty sure one of the creators, or like two of the creators, I don't know, someone, like the crew, somehow this is affiliated with the X-Files. Don't know how specifically, but I do know that people who worked on Supernatural also worked on the X-Files. And I also did watch the X-Files. So I had that going for me. I don't think I finished the X-Files though. I got to like season 7 and then I got back. Oh my god, look at that. It's like this show. Anyway, so they'll make references to that every once in a while. Like in the first episode, I'm pretty sure they had Sam and Dean's fake FBI names be like Scully and Mulder. And I honestly think this was a huge failure. It was the first metaverse episode that failed for me. I think if they were going to do an X-Files style episode, they could have tried harder. And the fairies were weird too. Especially because they worked on X-Files. They could have tried a little harder, you know? They literally worked on that show. Why did that episode suck? They also did episodes like later on where it was supposed to be like the Pulp Fiction one where they kind of had like the jumping timelines. That one, okay, if you're gonna do Pulp Fiction, okay? Have them dance or like dress up in outfits. And then they had the one that was clearly supposed to be The Godfather. And I literally watched that after watching The Godfather for the first time. And like, not that I liked hot take. Listen. The Godfather is a fine movie. It should not be considered the best movie of all time. I'm sorry. Second of all, Godfather Part 2, don't come at me fanboys, it sucked. Okay, it was a bad movie. It was a bad movie, okay? At least in my opinion. It was a bad movie. You like it, that's great. But I think it was bad. Anyways, I watched that episode like recently having watched The Godfather, and I was like, oh no, Supernatural. No, 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 no. And then we have season 6, episode 15, that broke the metaverse. This episode is probably, I would say, the shining glory of all of Supernatural. Out of all 327 episodes, I think the one episode that stands above the rest is season 6, episode 15. That is a damn good episode. They deserve I know they probably got a lot of credit for it, so I'm not saying they didn't get it, but that was a great idea, okay? Hands down, I've never seen something so creative in the show. This show can be good. I'm sitting here and I'm ripping it apart a little bit, but this show can be good. And the metaverse is one of the things that's actually, for the most part, done really well in this show. And season 6, episode 15, I've never seen an episode like this, and it was good. It was really good, okay? Like, hands down, when you're making a metaverse, look at this episode, okay? Because Supernatural deserves credit for making this episode. Like, maybe I just haven't watched many TV shows. I do watch a lot of TV though, so. But I'm just saying this one deserves the cake. So Balthazar, an angel, comes and sends the boys for their own protection because like Raphael is hunting Cass as friends to an alternate universe style thingy where they are Jared Padalecki and Jensen Ackles, and they play Sam and Dean on the TV show Supernatural. Like, come on. That's fucking, even if you don't like Supernatural and you're watching this video for some reason and you're like, this show sounds shit. You have to admit that's a great concept for an episode. Okay, you just have to admit it. I will stand by this one episode in season 6. I didn't even really like season 6 that much, but I will stand by this one episode. I honestly didn't know a lot about the cast politics or like what the vibe of Supernatural was like in season 6 because I wasn't a part of it. As I said, I joined the Supernatural train after the show ended, like a sane person. But I do know that this episode was just a shit ton of fun. Just a shit ton of fun. You know, like they had Misha Collins interacting with them and like pretending to read line as Cass when they would approach him talking like Sam and Dean. So he would respond like thinking they were running lines. They had Jared Padalecki's wife, who like Genevieve Padalecki, who like played Ruby in this episode as his wife, and of course had like Dean made a comment about how he like married Ruby and all this. They even killed Eric Kripke and Bob Singer, who were like the main honchos on Supernatural. Like they killed Misha Collins too. Like the entire episode was so meta and wild. Like they went to I actually don't know if it was actually Jared Padalecki's house. Maybe someone can tell me in the comments. But they went to like Jared Padalecki's house and like looked at his bank account, and I looked up how much they make. They make a lot. And like, you know, they were like ordering shit online and stuff like that. And like they were making comments about how like Jared and Jensen were finally talking, and I'm pretty sure that was a reference to the X-Files set, because I know that, why am I blanking on their names? The actor who played Scully and the actor who played Mulder. I know their names, I just can't remember on the top of my head right now. I know that they like didn't get along very well off camera, so again, like little stuff like that. It was good. Like it was a really good episode, and I think it was actually really cool because we kind of got to see how they shot the show as well. They actually had them shoot a scene and like direct a scene and then have that scene actually be in the show. So they had them like run through a scene, and so you got to see them like stand on the little X's and like go through their the motions of acting out the scene, and like they were pretending to direct that one scene, and then they actually had that scene be at the end of the episode, like the real episode when they went back to being Sam and Dean. So that was actually a really cool thing. And even just like when you first got into the show, they like fell through glass and then landed on one of those crash mats, and it was like such a good transition. It was such a good episode. Honestly, I have to give Supernatural credit where credit is due, and that episode was fucking brilliant. Then in season 7 to 9, we get some instances of the metaverse peeking through. We get, you know, Becky, the crazy obsessed fan, gives Sam a love potion when they get married in Vegas in season 7. Fun fact, I hated that episode. In season 8, we meet Metatron, who wants to, like, you know, We know Metatron. You know, in season 9, he's like trying to effectively write fan fiction to manipulate Sam, Dean, and Cass, and I guess the entire world, because that's what God does, right? Chuck is a writer. His stories have power. So like Metatron also makes some comment about subtext and character motivations. Like he basically reveals Cass's entire motivations up until like this point in season 9 where for Dean, he was right. We also find out that like seasons 4 and 5 Supernatural books were published online, so now fans know about Cass and the Apocalypse. Charlie read the books, so did Crowley. Crowley does research. He used the books to find old people they had saved in the first few seasons, like Sarah, and then killed them until they stopped trying to close the gates of hell, which was a really cool tactic on Crowley's part, not gonna lie. In season 10, we get a musical episode. It's a play that a bunch of girls are putting on in a high school, Supernatural the Musical. It was an okay episode, but you know, armed with the new canon of season 4 and 5 books published, they can now effectively denounce Cass and Dean as a ship. You know, they do somewhat redeem themselves because the writers have Dean telling the girls they could put on the play and like do theirs however they want to, do the story however they want to, and that their interpretations are just as valid as theirs. They also had both Sam and Dean actually like the musical adaptation they created, the fans created, so I think that was a nice touch. But they also like talked about the subtext when talking about Sam and Dean's relationship, and also Dean and Cass's relationships. How do I say this? I don't think it was bad because they did redeem themselves in the end, but like you didn't have to have Dean look so disgusted when you found out that people shipped him and Cass. Like you really didn't have to do that. Like was that really necessary? Was that really necessary? Like no. They poked fun at their emotional car ride talks at the end of every episode. You know, they once again had the main fan talk about their lives at plot points. So she criticized how season 5 ended with Dean going to Lisa and Sam dying. Dean then explained like what actually happened after that, and the fans said it sounds stupid, which I agree. Once again, Sam and Dean attempted to reveal who they really were, and you know, they got laughed at. But like at the end, the fan actually did end up believing that they were, you know, Sam and Dean, and they gave Dean the fake necklace, like Dean's necklace, that they were using for the play in place of the real one that Dean threw out, which I thought that was sweet. So once again, all very meta, because one could imagine that fans would make a play rendition of Supernatural and also create their own interpretations of the story. I mean, that is basically what every fan does who genuinely interacts with content they're watching. Like, I'm doing that right now. I'm making my own interpretation of the show. Like, is it based on facts in the show? Yes, but it's based on my interpretation of the facts. So, same as, like, you sitting watching me would do as well. They also bring Chuck back, you know, to hint once again that he may be a big deal or something. Okay, then before I talk about the Chuck thing, the king of meta, they also do like a Scooby-Doo episode in season 13 where Sam, Dean, and Cass get transported into Scooby-Doo and solve a real ghost mystery with the Scooby Gang. And yes, they are cartoons, and then the real life mystery ended up being like a real estate developer. It was actually a really fun episode. No complaints. Probably one of the best episodes, actually the best episode of season 13, hands down. Season 13 wasn't the best. Then in season 11, we get the reveal that Chuck is God. So Chuck is like super meta. He's a writer. He wrote Sam and Dean's fan fiction. But it's also revealed that he's been writing Sam and Dean in these crazy plots and manipulating their stories, so they never had free will. So it got so meta that God was the writer of the show, and Sam and Dean were upset because they never had free will because someone was pulling the strings behind the scenes. And then Chuck made comments about how Sam and Dean were like his favorite TV show, and Sam and Dean were upset. Chuck treated them like fictional characters and wanted them to enact the plot in a certain way. When they didn't behave, he threw a tantrum and opened the gates to hell. He would make comments about how much he liked the Leviathans, knowing full well no one liked the Leviathans. If you liked the Leviathans, good for you, but don't lie to me. He made a comment about how weak the British Men of Letters plot was. If you liked the British Men of Letters plot, good for you, but don't lie to me. He made a comment about concluding the failed spin-off plot line. He was literally writing the finale in real time while you were watching season 15, which was cool. He was writing the finale with Becky, who was married and had kids. Like, good for her. She wrote Supernatural fan fiction and owned a lot of Supernatural merch. She didn't own cardboard cutouts, though. Am I Becky? I'm not in love with Sam, though, so I can't be Becky. I don't know, I'm Becky. Oh, well. And Chuck like murdered, why am I laughing? Then Chuck like murdered her family, her and her family, which was metaphor for how badly the ending was going to murder the fans, you know? That makes sense. Here's Becky, a fan who loved the show, and Chuck murdered her, and that's exactly what happened to the fans of the show. Meta, indeed. The fans watched Chuck go through drafts of what Sam and Dean should do and how their story should end, and then on the flip side, we had Sam and Dean fighting to have their story end the way they wanted it to. It's like Sam and Dean were real people fighting to not be fictional character anymore and break out of the show writer's control. And Sam and Dean would make comments about how horrible it is that Chuck wrote all these tragedies in their lives for his own amusement. It was honestly such a cool way to kind of like end the show because Sam and Dean are leaving the fictional character sphere, so they are breaking free of the show's control, and that is exemplified in Chuck being the villain. I mean, the metaverse adds a layer to the show that actually makes it really interesting and unique. I don't think they always utilized it well all the time, but I think the show was at its best when it tapped into the metaverse. I will say that like near the end of the series, their self-aware, laughing along with you comments were getting on my nerves because the content they were laughing at along with me about was like really bad. Like not cheesy bad or anything, just bad. So the joke kind of fell flat. Okay, so we're gonna do a bit of a change in plans here because there's only 3 left, and I'm changing a bit of the format of the YouTube series, if you will, because this will be a YouTube series. There's way too many hours of this. No one, not even Supernatural, cares this much. Anyways, so number 9 is the series overview. So I'm gonna do Eeny, Meeny, Miny, Moe between 10 and 4, and then film the series overview last. Eeny, Meeny, Miny, Moe, catch a tiger by the toe. If he hollers, let him go. Eeny, Meeny, Miny, Moe, my nose is too thick, the very best one, and you are not it. So I picked Death as a Joke. I have never watched a show that disrespects death as much as Supernatural. And I've watched a lot of TV. Granted, I have not watched all the TV out there, so there may be a show that does in fact disrespect death more. But this one is definitely like a strong contender for just the absolute disrespect of death. No one in this show seems to stay dead. And I think that's a real shame. And I do think that it takes away a lot of the emotional impact of the show. So for those of you who have not seen Supernatural, let me start by illustrating how many times Sam and Dean have died within their 15-season long adventure on this show, including their final deaths in season 15. So Dean has died 12 times throughout the course of this series. This is an estimate because in season 5, episode 16, when they go to heaven, we get told that Sam and Dean had died and gone through heaven a few more times before to find Joshua, but the number is never specified, so I went with 3 times. Sam has died 10 times. Again, the estimation that I used for Dean in season 5, episode 16 is used for Sam as well. Cass, who was in the show for 11 seasons, has died and come back 9 times. Jack, who was only in 3 seasons of this goddamn show, died 2 times, and they were in the course of the same season. He died twice in season 14. Rowena, who was in the show for 5 seasons, died 3 times. Even some of the other side characters like Charlie died and came back once. Ketch died and came back once. Mary, most notably, was dead and then came back and then dead again. If they aren't actually dying, they are close to death, or in a similar kind of death-like situation. I would count being possessed as something close to death, and Sam, Dean, and Cass each get possessed at least once throughout the show, or they are in a coma, very close to death. On top of that, Supernatural will kill characters and then bring them back seasons later with stupid explanations as to how this happened. Yes, I'm talking about Gabriel, who was dead, but apparently he wasn't, because he came back in season 13 saying he was just kidnapped by a character they hadn't even fucking thought of for like 8 seasons. Or like, how about Naomi? She was like supposed to be dead. We saw her like shot in the head. And then she was like, no, I'm not dead in season 13. Even worse is that dead characters, even if they do stay dead, that's not like a guarantee that the show will let them go. Like for example, we have Ghost Bobby and Ghost Kevin. We have visiting them in heaven, like Jack did with Kelly. We have the alternate dimension versions of dead characters. It is honestly so frustrating to me. Not to mention that the show had 3 canon death characters and all 3 were killed. By the time I got to the later seasons, I was so tired of everyone dying and coming back from the dead that I was actively rooting for Sam and Dean to die and stay dead, even though I knew that wouldn't be the case until the end of the series. And then what I got fucking sucked. So what? I wasn't satisfied either way. I actually think this is the weakest part of this show. And that's saying something, because the show is got some problems, okay? Death in books, TV shows, and movies are meant to be very impactful and emotional, not only for like you, the viewer, but also for the characters in the fictional universe. Death can serve many purposes. It can start off a plot line, like how Mary's death was catalyst for the entire show. It can also serve as a turning point in the character arc, sometimes quite effectively, and almost death of a character can be a turning point in characters' growth or in their relationship with someone else in the show. It can also be a good way to end a character arc, in my opinion. I know not everyone has that opinion, but like, I think that ending a character arc in death, when done correctly, good. A death can just be an emotional beat you want to explore in a character. I mean, grief can be a very interesting emotion to explore in your fictional universe and in your characters, and it can lead to interesting scenarios and character beats. Whatever you want to utilize your death for, your death has to mean something. Death in this show means nothing. It means less than nothing sometimes. Death is literally used by Dean as a tool in a haunting case in season 13. Like, it's absolutely nothing. When death means nothing and there are no stakes surrounding the death because you never fear someone is going to die and stay dead, or that they will die, then there's like no emotional attachment to that death. The first time I saw Sam die at the end of season 2, and I saw Dean witness Sam get stabbed and fall to the ground, and I saw Dean holding his lifeless body crying in so much pain. Like that hit me hard. Like, that was such an emotionally impactful scene. But you know what diminishes the scene that I literally just saw of pure grief and pain? When he got brought back immediately in the next episode. He wasn't even dead for an entire goddamn episode. You know why that scene lost all impact and why Sam's death suddenly became meaningless? Because it was immediately negated. This is what the show does. Very few people on this show stay dead, so you never fear that you aren't going to see your dead character ever again. Another problem is sacrifices. This show has a lot of sacrifices. Sacrifices, especially for like a good cause, or again, like a really good narrative tool, and it can conclude a character's arc really well. For instance, I think Rowena's sacrifice in season 15 to close the rift to hell was actually a really good way of concluding her character arc and showing how much growth she'd had over the seasons. The problem is that Sam, Dean, and Cass, their sacrifices are always foiled somehow, so they start to mean nothing. Dean trades his life for Sam's at the end of season 2 in a Crossroads deal, and he actually gets dragged to hell at the end of season 3 to fulfill that deal he made. That was so impactful because he sacrificed himself for Sam. He could have gone back on the deal and let Sam die again, but he didn't, and that's a very meaningful sacrifice for a character to make. He gets pulled out of hell by Cass at the beginning of season 4. So the sacrifice and all of the build up to the sacrifice meant nothing. You can look back on season 3 knowing that Dean is going to be okay. And any talk they had about Dean's death and how that would impact Sam, and any exploration of the emotional impact of Dean's sacrifice felt obsolete. Yes, that sacrifice did have an impact on Sam. He did end up turning darker after Dean died, but Dean came back in 4 months? Though I loved season 4 and the complex character relations between Sam and Dean that formed after what Dean did, it diminished Dean's sacrifice. But the real offender is not Dean coming back from the dead in season 4. It's Sam coming back from the dead after he sacrificed his life to end the apocalypse. You know how amazing an ending it would have been for Sam, who started the apocalypse after taking a dark spiral and struggling with his destiny and the darkness inside of him, to redeem himself through sacrificing himself to stop what he started. His death meant something to his character, and it was a fitting end to his character. It also concluded the story in a satisfying way. His sacrifice was literally meaningless because he came back from the dead immediately after he died, and that was it. So what was the point of grieving Sam when he was just gonna come back anyway? I don't feel anything for a death when they immediately get brought back, and especially when the show focuses and takes time to explore the grieving process and shows us the characters in pain, and then it's psych, they're alive. You don't actually have to deal with your grief long term because you only need to grieve for 4 months or even 2 weeks. Or even an hour. It's unrealistic and shitty writing. I think in terms of emotional payoff, the biggest offender is season 13 when Cass died. Well, he died at the end of season 12. We spent so long on Cass's death, and we had a funeral, and we had Dean being so angry and mean to Jack because of Cass's death. And then after finally watching Dean come to terms with Cass's death and start to move on, Cass just comes back. It's we just wasted time on grieving a character that was just gonna come back, and then we can just move on. Did I appreciate how broken up Dean was after Cass died? Yeah, I did. But I didn't feel anything like sadness or grief because I knew he was going to come back. Or when Sam randomly died for an episode in season 13, and once again, we watched Dean have the same reaction that he always does when Sam dies. And then, bam, back, and we move on. What was the point, you know? At some point, we need to realize, yes, Jensen Ackles, he can perform the exact same reaction to death, okay? And it's not a bad reaction, but he doesn't need to do it 14 times throughout the course of the show for the same people over and over and over again, you know? We can give him other things to do. I know that Lucifer was using bringing Sam back from the dead as a way to bond with Jack, but could we not just have done literally anything else? What if Lucifer just killed an angel that was attacking Sam or something? Not to mention that not only does the grieving period feel meaningless, and then and then any sacrifice made is negated, but also death is used as a tool sometimes. Remember in season 5 when Sam and Dean kept dying so they could prance through heaven trying to find Joshua, and they knew it was okay because the angels would just bring them back? Or when Dean died so he could talk to death in season 6 and try to convince him to bring Sam's soul back from the cage in hell? Dean literally just uses death to get things done. It's a tool in the tool belt. You can't even be sad when Dean does stuff like that anymore. It feels like a routine part of the show. It's death. You can't use death as a tool in your arsenal. Cass in season 15 learned from his boyfriend and made Jack effectively kill him so he could go to the empty and talk with Ruby in service of getting the occultum for their mission. Death is meant to be an emotionally impactful and meaningful part of your story, not the equivalent to an angel blade. On top of that, the show personifies death, so there's a character who is death. How does the show use death, you might ask? Well, the first death, he was almost like Dean's bitch because Dean would just summon death and give him food and be do this for me. Dean just disrespected death so much. He thought he could boss death around. Like in season 6 when he asks Death to like bring Sam's soul back, and Death gives him the task of being Death for a day, and he has to like last the entire day, but then he lasts like an hour because he couldn't stand seeing a little girl die. Like he fails and he messes up the entire Death time continuum. And though he does fix his mistake, Death still goes and gets Sam's soul and builds a lovely little wall in his mind that Cass topples down later on. Then in season 10, Dean like just kills Death with his own scythe, which Death gave to him, thinking he would kill Sam. Like, is Death stupid or something? Dean will literally never kill Sam. I thought we'd been through this, okay? You kind of teased me a bit in season 2, but by the time I reached season 6, I knew that shit was never gonna happen. Sam is more likely to kill Dean than Dean is to kill Sam. Okay, Supernatural. Okay, Death. If it was the other way around, fine. But we know. Okay, we just know it's not happening. So Dean kills Death after dying and coming back and bringing people back from the dead for years. When Sam and Dean made the deal with Billy that would have gotten like a Winchester kill the night they got out of their dark ops prison after they attempted to kill the president who was being possessed by Lucifer. The show's batshit crazy. And Cass was like, no, and like killed Billy. Then Billy became Death. Then you realize that not only did they kill the previous Death, but they made the new Death. That's the power they have over Death. Then Dean and Cass kill Death again in season 15 because Dean injured her to the point where she would have died, but Cass sped the process up by summoning the Empty, and now Billy's dead. That's when you realize that Dean effectively kills 2 deaths. Then Lucifer comes back and brings Betty the Reaper and makes her Death, and then he kills her. So the entire show has Death die 3 times. Not even Death can escape Death. In Supernatural. Here's the problem this show faced. Because the show had so many supernatural beings and spells and ghosts and alternate dimensions available to them, they could easily do things like this. Like, what other show would Cass annoy a cosmic entity into letting him live again? When you bring in characters like God and Mara and Jack and even the angels, it becomes hard to keep characters dead. This breeds an invincibility around the characters in the show to the point where it's weird when a character stays dead. Like, for example, you can't have angels with power to bring people back from the dead and then have a character die and not utilize the angels to bring that person back, especially considering you don't give time frames on how long it has to be from the point of death to bringing that person back. The way the show gets around it is that if they want to kill a character, they could conveniently don't have anyone who could bring them back in that episode. But then it cheapens that person's death because you know there was a way to bring them back. If Dean had been impaled on that rebar in season 15 and Cass had been there, Cass could have just healed that and then he wouldn't have died. Is basically the basis of most of the deaths. If Cass had just been there, which she conveniently isn't in like all of the ones where someone randomly dies, he can just heal them and they're fine. So the show reaches a point where if it kills someone and brings them back, they lose because there's no emotions attached to that death, and slowly you become desensitized and feel nothing when a character dies. And the grieving and any emotional beats will be meaningless, and any sacrifices are pointless in the end because everyone won, I guess. On the flip side, when you do kill a character, it feels cheap to the characters, to the character you kill, because you've set up a world where there are ways to bring that character back. And like when you don't utilize them, it can be insulting to the character that died. Like, do you see the problem you created, Supernatural? You created a world where it's weird that Sam and Dean didn't try to get Cass back after he died. Like, you created that type of world. So of course now people, even though I think it was the right move not to have them like bring him back because I wanted them to learn not to do that anymore. But now you have people who are like, well, why didn't they do that? And I understand, because it doesn't make sense. Because you brought in ways for people to do that. You created your own problem. Then it becomes more complicated because the show will permanently kill a character and will go through the motions of Sam and Dean mourning, right? And then the show will find a way to bring them back, but like not to life. So this is where we have the ghosts and the alternate dimensions and time travel. It's almost like even though the character is dead, they don't actually lose that person. For instance, Bobby dies in season 7 at the hands of the Leviathans. We spend time with Sam and Dean mourning, and then Bobby comes back as a ghost. And it's like, oh, well, they still have Bobby then. Of course, like Bobby was released into the afterlife by the end of the season to prevent him becoming a vengeful spirit, but they got to have more time with him. Then they see him in the afterlife. Then he comes back as alternate dimension version Bobby. Bobby is dead. Leave him dead. You can talk about him and have Sam and Dean think about him every once in a while. And I did enjoy, you know, those flashback episodes where you didn't really bring him back, but you just showed me like him in the past when he was alive. I'm cool with that, you know? But like me as the viewer, I'm not gonna sit here and grieve Bobby when I see Bobby all the fucking time. The point of death is that the person is gone. You have to deal with the absence of that person in your life. If the person isn't absent in your life, then just keep him alive. I like Bobby. I wish him no ill will, but I just hate that they did this. On top of that, like they did the same thing with Kevin. Like he got the ghost treatment and the alternate dimension treatment. I love Kevin. He's literally one of my favorite characters. But when he died, he died. Let him be dead. I think the worst is that they bring these characters back and then have no idea what to do with them because their death was the conclusion of their plot line. Like, look at Mary. They brought her back at the end of season 11. Amara gave her as a gift to Dean. Then she really didn't have a lot to do in the show. Like in season 12, she was used as two things: drama and the British Men of Letters plot. In season 13, she didn't do a lot. She was stuck in an apocalypse world and met Jack halfway through the season. She was once again used as a plot device so we could do something in season 13. Like season 13 was to get Mary out of apocalypse world. But Mary herself didn't do much that season. And like they didn't write her a lot of things to do that season. And I think it's because after they had Sam, Dean, and Mary acclimatized to each other, they had nothing more to do with her character beyond her being a plot device. She kind of developed a thing with alternate version of Bobby, but that was weird. I mean, at least in my opinion, that was a little bit weird. Then she was barely in season 14, and she was like in the middle of the love story with like alternate Bobby. That was what she was doing in season 14. And she was scared when Dean was Michael, and that was pretty much fucking it. And she just died in season 14. Like, why bring her back if you were gonna do very little with her and then kill her? Did we really have to emotionally traumatize Sam and Dean by having their mom, who died when they were kids, come back from the dead only to die at the hands of their adopted son? At least she stayed dead. But like, she was already dead. That's another thing. I feel like if someone dies and is brought back from the dead, maybe they should stay alive. Isn't that meant to be a rebirth? You see, even the reincarnations themselves mean nothing because they usually end up dying again. Another example was Eileen. They had Sam bring her back from the dead in season 15, and then they were like kind of dating, and then she just disappeared from the show halfway through the season. And apparently they were dating like off screen for the rest of the season. But if I'm not going to see and experience their relationship, what was the point of even bringing her back to do this relationship? Only for her to like disappear from the show. Then, after 15 seasons of watching Sam, Dean, and Cal sacrifice themselves, use death as a tool in their arsenal, die and come back so many times, and so many different ways, after watching them kill death, they finally die. The thing that I wanted the entire time. And it's awfully executed. Let's start with Cass's sacrifices. I mean, I've talked about it. He dies to save Dean. That's a great way to kill him off. I have no complaints with his death being a sacrifice to save Dean. Then you realize that Cass can easily be brought back because they established that. So you have Dean yelling at Chuck to bring Cass back, which he would never do. But he never asked Jack. You know, someone who would do that. Then we find out that Jack actually did bring Cass back off screen, but he doesn't reunite with Sam and Dean either. So either keep him dead and let the sacrifice stand, or have him go and say hi to Sam and Dean. Very least you could do. Then you realize that a sacrifice means even less because Dean dies 6 months later on a routine hunt, impaled by rebar, and he never retired or showed that he grew to value his life. Cass's dying words were about how great Dean is. And I just feel like, especially for Dean, who doesn't really value his life in the slightest, which is why he uses death as a tool, it frustrates me that he never learned that his life has value and took what Cass said to heart. I think it's really a shame that Cass made this sacrifice for Dean to live a long, happy life. Told Dean how much value he has. And you think that after having something like that happen to you, there would be a shift in Dean. The reason why Dean has died so much has been because Dean puts himself in situations that lead to his death and chooses death all the time. Cass sees this and has watched Dean have no regard for his life, and he knows why, and he tells Dean why. So if you're going to have a character conquer death so many times, have a character literally kill death twice. Have them learn to appreciate life and maybe learn to live it. I love how much Dean loves hunting, but I think that after defeating God, they could have retired. The show is over. Let them retire. Wasn't that the whole point? Them not being under Chuck's control anymore. They could choose how to live their lives. So why did they go back to living like they were under the influence of Chuck? It kind of sucks, honestly, that Sam was the one who got to move on from hunting and go and got to live his life after all the sacrifices he made. I'm not saying Sam doesn't deserve that, but Sam never really had to learn to value his own life the way that Dean did. I just don't understand why they couldn't have both just moved on from hunting, or just have them continue hunting but live. Another thing, Dean's death was just so beyond stupid because it meant nothing. The main plot was over. He died on a routine case for no reason. Dean has always died for a purpose. Whether that purpose is a sane one, I can't really say. But his death in season 3 in service of Sam's life meant more than his final death. That's really not a good look. It's not. If you're going to continuously kill and bring back characters from the dead, then you finally decide to keep them dead, you better make that last death mean something and be impactful. Instead, it was the exact opposite. On top of that, they didn't even try to save Dean. They could have attempted to pray to Jack. Or at least called 911. Call 911, move the dead vampire bodies, and maybe Dean would have lived. I don't know, the fact that he didn't even try to do the basics to fight for his life once again proves how little he learned from Cass's death. If you wanted to kill Dean, have him die fighting Chuck. Have him die saving Jack or Sam or even Cass. This death was meaningless and pointless, and it made everything, all 15 seasons of saying fuck you to death and playing with the rules, it made it all worthless. And that sucks because it was already impacting the emotional punch of the show. Sam's death was fine. I mean, he died of old age, and it shows that he chose to live, so good for him. I will give the show this though. I felt many emotions during the last episodes with everyone's death. Most of it was anger, but I felt a lot. I'm not proud to say I cried at midnight. It was a whole thing. Whereas I felt very little when anyone would die before this. Even though I think that they messed it up so badly. It's sad when you can look back on the series and see the characters' deaths in previous seasons dealt with better than their final deaths. This is probably one of the only shows where you can compare the same characters' deaths and see which time was the best executed. Once again, this weakens the impact of the death because you can compare death scenes. You shouldn't be able to do that in a show. So in conclusion, Supernatural handled death so poorly and so messily, and it was probably what drove me to insanity. We're down to the last one, technically, because I decided to change it up, but last card is Vancouver, which just is the lower mainland of BC, which is where I live. And it also happens to be where they filmed Supernatural. Woo! so what I did is I kidnapped my sister, love her, and she was my camera girl, and we went around to a bunch of places where they filmed Supernatural. I tried to pick places that I have like an emotional connection to, but I also picked places that were like used very frequently. And also because of COVID restrictions, there were a lot of places that we couldn't go. I tended to pick the more outdoor areas because I think that was just the better choice. Yeah, so I picked the outdoor areas just because of COVID. I wanted to pick less populated areas, so we went at times where there wasn't as many people there just because, again, COVID, and you know, also filming in public about Supernatural was a little bit. But yeah, I tried to pick places where I have an emotional connection to, or my sister has an emotional connection to, so we can talk about it. Yeah, so I'm gonna overlay those clips. Future Maya will do that. And yeah, so enjoy. We had a lot of fun. It was a good 2-day romp around Vancouver. Let's say, you gonna film it like this?
Okay.
You gotta film it like that, because then
Okay.
like that's better.
God, Maya, already criticizing me so
You're such
far.
a bad filmer. Anyways, here we are at a big red building. Wow, look.
Wow.
I don't absolutely know for sure certain if they filmed here, but
We're just gonna assume that so we're not total failures.
because we've been wandering around this place for like 25 minutes now, and it's hot, and we can't seem to find anything. But I'm pretty sure this is like an iconic building. So I think they would have filmed it like for something at least. They use the mental, this is like Riverview Mental Hospital, and I'm pretty sure they used it as like a hospital, prison, mental ward, maybe something else too, but those were the top 3 I saw, like at least once a season. So
Look at that multitasking.
I know, look at them go. They really got the bang for their buck here. And there's even
Absolutely.
people filming up there, so we know that they're filming. Maybe they use this one for when Sam and Dean went to that mental ward in like season 3?
Because even though I haven't seen that many episodes, this does kind of seem familiar.
Right? Like this seems familiar.
If not in Supernatural, like it must have been in like some show.
It's probably been in like so many different shows that we can say someone will be excited we're here.
Yeah. So we're like practically celebrities. Probably walked in the exact same footsteps as
Wow.
celebrities had.
We did this. I feel like they could have used this for that one time they went to a mental ward and they pretended that, oh yeah, no, it probably was season like 5 or something, because Dean was all like, he started the apocalypse, because like Sam started the apocalypse in season 4. So it's coming back to me. I'm pretty sure they could have used this building. Kind of looks like it. This is the stone was laid by Han S.F. Tomey. He did that. He was the premier of the province of British Columbia.
Look, another
Whoa,
celebrity.
We're just
Wow.
walking in celebrities' footsteps.
We're practically celebrities now.
Luckily, I know.
Yeah, I feel like this has been used in something else too.
Yeah, I recognize this. Wow. We are walking in the footsteps here.
Maya, do you feel like a celebrity now?
I do. Here we go. We can look at the fun graffiti. It says potato,
Wow.
Ray, phone.
Ray Molina?
What? Julian the Phantom's crossover? King? Because he was the king of hell?
It's potato and potato.
Potato. Somebody really like, oh hey! Someone drew the little thingy, the little symbol that I don't know the name of.
Wow,
I
Supernatural
swear.
fan.
I watched
What's
15
up?
seasons of this. This is from Egypt, I think. Wow. Oh, this was supposed to say Phoenix. We're learning things. Wow. Look how beautiful this is.
This is a really pretty building.
Very
Like,
nice.
look at these like poles and stuff. Like, damn.
This is a nice.
I feel fancy. I feel like this would be like a rich person's house.
I know, except for it's like, let's see if we can look inside. See a ghost, maybe. It's a room.
Yeah, it's an empty
It's an
room.
empty room.
Very exciting,
We
guys.
did it, guys.
Are you on the edge of your feet? I am. Whoa.
Wow. Oh my god, wow. I feel like we did something here. We found it. This is definitely the spot. It was CGI'd a lot. Like a lot.
Yeah,
but
they
it's the
probably made
spot.
it look a little bit
Yeah, they definitely CGI'd it a lot.
better.
But they,
yeah.
this is the OG.
But the reward, yeah, wow.
And it
Look at
actually
that.
An abandoned mental hospital. What?
Look at them being realistic.
Wow. They really took from real life there, you know? They did it.
Supernatural, known for being such a realistic show. Oh, look, there's a star.
Oh my god, wow. We can stand in the, it's a pentagram, that's what it is. We can stand in
Are
it.
we gonna be like trapped if we're demons or something?
Are you a demon? No. I don't have to recite the, ew, no one needs a close up of my face.
Okay, Maya, start saying supernatural stuff.
What do you want me to say?
Whatever your heart desires.
I don't
Come
know.
on. Give the many viewers some fun facts and
facts.
interesting things.
Okay, I don't know. I have a lot of stuff to say. Should we talk about Crowley? I feel like Crowley, after like what, season 9, was kind of given shit plot lines by the show. Like he spent an entire season with mommy issues, and then he spent an entire season, like I don't know what even was he doing in season 11? He was babysitting Amara, and then Mara was like, nah, bitch, and left, and then like he was just
Oh, there's
living.
a-
He just wanted to kill Amara. I don't
Wow.
know. Oh, look, a gazebo.
There's another side of the
Oh,
building.
this is nice. Well, I mean, it's not nice, but like, this is a very nice.
It's decent. It's nicer than SFU.
It's nicer than SFU.
I see some curtains. That looks like a bathroom or like a laundry room or something.
Yeah.
Some cubbies.
There's some wires in there. They're doing things.
Yeah.
This is like really
Looks
cool,
like
actually,
they
because
must
this
be
is a piece
using
of history.
Yeah.
Wow.
Look at
wow.
us being educated.
Look at us.
Do you think there's anything filmed at this gazebo?
I don't know. It's a pretty dope gazebo.
I feel like most shows at least have a few instances in a gazebo.
That's true. I can't remember off the top of my head if anything was filmed in a gazebo, but if it were,
Ah, this is nice. The
Sriracha?
view.
What is it with people?
Oh, like a little
graffitiing-
pharmacy sign.
What is it with people and graffitiing food? Like, why are they graffitiing food?
I don't know. Also, oh, there's a little hole in the ceiling. Nice.
Fun.
Nice.
I feel this is structurally sound.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
It's not like it shakes every time we step on it, but it's all good.
O plus G. Do you think they're still together?
Probably not.
Oh, Julie, you're such a hip. 2020 S plus D. Sam plus Dean. Oh, wow.
And a little ghost, maybe that's.
Oh, maybe that is. Actually, wait. That actually could be someone writing some shit. Sam and Dean shippers. They're toxic people. Those are brothers. I like how we got it wrong at first. See, this is the problem.
We're experts, guys.
We figured it out. This is actually the entrance to Crowley's
Yes.
place with some CGI. We were wrong at first, but we did it again. So let's. Wow. It's like we're going in. Wow. We were wrong. Oh, look, it's a little door. I like how they have it open. It's everything else is closed, but you can walk up here.
Yeah.
Falling material warning.
How glamorous this is.
Got an American lock. This is actually really cool.
Did my little pan over.
This is like a nice setting for an abandoned.
Yeah, this is like
Yeah.
the perfect thing for that.
I feel like they probably just took one shot of this and then just had like the same CGI shot they used
Oh,
over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Because it would have been too much money to like go over it, which means like good ass here. I feel like maybe they filmed the outside parts somewhere else because this doesn't really look like an outside of an abandoned place, you know,
Yeah.
mental hospital, but this is definitely, yeah, this is the building. This is 100% the building. We did it!
Yay!
We did it! It's a pretty cool building.
It is a very cool building.
Very cool. Okay, here we are at Sea Cove.
The greatest school
greatest
in the
school
North Vancouver School
ever.
District.
I mean, was it better than Windsor?
Probably equally
Probably
horrendous.
equally as bad.
Yeah.
Anyways, so they filmed here, and the great thing about this school is that Julia, my camera person, and my sister, I guess, I don't know, maybe, she went here. So what they did, if I remember the scene correctly, it was with Sam and Claire. So they were like, Paul was parked over there, and Sam was over there. And then Claire went in, and we never saw her enter, and then she exited. And that was kind of the whole scene. And then she just like ran off that way. But you know who was here for this filming? Julia, tell your story.
Okay. So I was standing all the way at the top of the stairs.
Oh, over there. Okay,
with two other people. While
Right
I
over
was
there.
Not in my science class when I should have been.
Julia, you skipper.
So I'm standing up there, and then I look, and I'm like, oh, there's Jared Padalecki
Like right over there.
See, so
Wow.
I'm Jared Padalecki.
She's Jared Padalecki. That's what he was walking like, Julia?
I was like, hi! And he was like, and then he got into his car and drove away. The end.
The way you had Jared Padalecki walk was
He
fucking
did
hilarious.
walk like that. Because there were only two other people up there besides me. It wasn't like there was like 50 people like, oh my god, it is Jared Padalecki. Like, no one really cared. So he thought he was like hot shit. Like,
I mean, there were 3 people,
I
and
was
Julia.
like, hi, and he was just like he thought he was hot
He was hot
shit.
shit.
He
Julia-
was feeling himself.
Tell me, Julia, when they were filming this in season 12, had you ever seen an episode of Supernatural?
No.
No.
There you go.
Okay, so we are at the now closed down Panorama Market. This is the place where Cass goes when he's like desperately grocery shopping so that Dean will forgive him. It's a great scene. He just goes in and grabs like anything he thinks Dean would like, but none of it's practical besides eggs and like maybe the beer. But yeah, so it's now closed down. You can see what's inside. This is a theme. Oh look, there's the old drumstick, like the old ice cream thing.
Oh my god.
It's like it's still in there. Anyways, we used to always come here. They used to have, didn't they used to have like the candy, and you could like make your own bag.
Yeah,
Yeah, and it was like 5-cent candies.
that was bomb.
That was the bomb. They used to have like the jumbo freezies too. This was like the place to hit up when you were in grade 7. You know, when you were like
If you
really
were cool, yeah.
And they had like
yeah.
the Jones bottles, remember? And they used to like say stuff on,
Oh,
on a
yeah,
lid,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
It was like, was it your fortune or like, what? Or it was like a fact. It was like a fact. And everyone would like open their Jones and then they would like read their fact. Anyways, I don't know when this place closed down, but it's been closed for a few years now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I guess Supernatural should have paid them more money because they closed after filming here. So Supernatural, cheap hoes. They could have kept them afloat. Cass was in here, and now it is.
Well,
not.
plus there's a new candy shop down there, so maybe.
Oh,
Maybe. That had
Maybe.
something to do with it.
ran them out of business? And like the 5-cent candies?
No, that candy store is expensive.
Really? Is it like? We can get a nice wide shot of it.
Wow.
Wow. You
Amazing.
can buy it. It's for sale by the Team Cameron.
So if anyone wants to buy it to our many viewers, there you
It's
go.
for sale. So if you want to like buy it and then like make it new again, would that be fun? Could like repurpose it. Make it like a museum for Supernatural.
I'm sure that would be very
This is
popular.
amazing. Okay. I think we're good for that. So now we're at the Arm Group Bistro. It changed this outdoor area because of like COVID. But Cass and Metatron had a lovely little lunch together. Right. So cute. Here. And they like met the Nephilim that then Cass just like killed because he wanted to close the gates of heaven because, you know, Metatron was manipulating this poor boy who just wanted Dean's affection. So sad. Anyways, yeah, it's a nice little bistro. I have a friend who used to work here. She was like a hostess for like 3 months.
All the cool Sea Cove teenage boys also work here.
This was the place to work.
So
This was it. This
yeah.
was the place to work if you lived in like. You're gonna get you up here. This was the place. to work. Look at it. No, it's beauty. This is like a really expensive restaurant too, right?
Oh yeah, it's like
Like
it's
super
fancy.
expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is like the
Too fancy for
place.
us because I've
Yeah,
never actually
we're
eaten here, but
we're poor. I was actually gonna take you to eat here if they had allowed like indoor dining.
Wow.
I know I was gonna take you to
fancy.
eat here, but we should have allowed you.
And then all the Sea Cove teenage boys can dine on it.
Oh my god, they can be our waiters.
Yay.
Wait on us, the rich girls. I would have died if I saw the prices. I would have made us leave. If it was like anything for like $40 for like an entree, I would have
It's
made us
not
leave.
that expensive, but it's like obviously more expensive than like a white spot or something, you know?
White Spot's getting expensive. Have you noticed? They're like ever so slowly raising their prices. Anyways, that has nothing to do with Supernatural. But yes, this is the spot right here. If I sit, maybe I feel like this table was like over here
Maybe
on the side.
right here.
So like it would have been right here. Then you
Where my
can
hand
feel
is.
Misha Collins' presence right here.
Oh, you definitely can. I feel a powerful presence
right?
here.
This is
yeah.
like where the champions sit, right over here.
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely. Just like you can feel it over there. Metatron was not a champion, but you know, Cass had presence enough for both of them. So you can feel it over there. And then I'm pretty sure in like season 2 or something, they just like drove down the main strip and then like turned in the Impala.
Wow,
It was
they
just-
turn.
I know, it was pretty exciting. And then I believe they also filmed like a walking scene like up by Honey's, but like
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 over there.
just like over there they like walked. But more importantly, they drove down the strip and turned.
Like
Yes.
I've stood in some of the same
Oh my God.
places they have.
Wow. Wow, I can feel their presence with me today. Wow. Okay, let's see if we can find that one random trail. And then I
There's
guess we'll
not.
call it
There's
a
only
day.
like 50,000 trails around here.
Yeah, I
So
feel like trailhead place. I'm pretty sure there was also the scene where they were like sitting, looking out on the water, but like there's lots of places you can sit and look out on the water in Vancouver.
True.
so,
And
like, it
around
could've
here,
been,
like everything kind of looks the same.
Mhm.
So
they make it so nondescript, but like I don't know. Honestly, that could have been the random ass path that like
really
Sam
good,
ran out
yeah.
of right over there. We don't know.
With Sam's dramatic walking.
I'm pretty sure, like, I recognized it was, like, over there by the kayak place. I'm pretty sure.
Just over there.
Just, like, sitting on the water, looking dramatically out, having, like,
I used to
a
always
bro
sit.
moment.
I used to always sit at the water and look dramatically out. Like I would
Wow.
sit up there.
Did you have, like, a moment
Right
with your
beside the
bro?
Absolutely, all my
Oh God,
bros.
yeah, all your bros. Like, did you have, like, a really deep bro moment?
Absolutely.
Did you, like, talk about how, like, you had to save the world and maybe, like, die in the process?
Yeah, I'm just such an important person for this world. Like, without me, you would all probably be dead. So you're welcome.
Yeah, so, like, she stopped the apocalypse. But did she start the apocalypse? No.
Supernatural is
so-
just based on me.
Oh my god, we're Sam and Dee. Who's the more
Yeah.
destructive one? You're Sam. I'm Dee.
I don't know. I feel like we could both be destructive at certain moments. I feel like you would be Sam just because you have his cockiness energy. You're confident though, Maya. It's a part of your character. It's not a bad thing.
I'm gonna be Sam.
Well, I don't either. That's what I'm trying to make you be Sam.
Okay, why don't we just not be Sam and Dee? We can be,
I'll be Cass.
okay, it's weird if I'm Dean then.
Oh, good point. Never mind.
Okay, well, we're nothing like them. We're just so different. Okay, look how beautiful it is. Used to go kayaking and paddle boarding out here.
The close-up of
Stop. In grade 7, we all went kayaking.
Yeah, I would literally
and-
always sit like right here.
there?
Yeah.
In real time?
Yeah.
Whoa.
I used to sit there all the time when I was just annoyed with everything. And I would just sit there. Or sometimes I would sit right there.
Yeah. I just have a friend who like lived over there and her house would like connect to the beach. And we once went
Oh,
boogie
yeah.
boarding and like Went along the entire like place there. We went kayaking too. I know.
So
Walk
cute.
along there. So great. Such a beautiful area, actually. We went to that island over there in the distance, and then we actually like we went on the island. It's like private property, but we like parked our kayaks there and trespassed. And then we heard someone coming and ran.
You should be in jail.
I know, we trespassed on a private island. We were kind of rebellious.
Maybe you are Dean.
I know. I just have that rebellious streak in me. This is actually alcohol because it's 10 a.m. and
Yes.
we got a drink before. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. And where, like Japan? It's 5 o'clock in Japan. Yeah. Okay, I feel like if it would be any path, it would be like over there.
Okay.
Right? So let's walk over there. You can maybe stop while we're walking.
Can I stop filming?
Yeah, you can stop filming.
Okay, Carolina.
Hi. This is
Maya's gonna lie on it like Dean.
it was like this. For like no reason.
Maya, where'd you go? I just see Dean.
It's me, Dean.
We are at Bridgman Park.
We're at Bridgman Park. They filmed like I think the first or second episode of season 9 here when Crowley was in their trunk and Dean was just lying here like this. He was like,
Nice.
Nice. And that was pretty much the scene. And they were talking, I don't know what they were talking about. Probably something angst, right?
Probably.
No, it was like first episode of No, yeah. It was like in season 9 near the end, I think. Because Sam had just been possessed by Gadriel, and that was a fun time. And Dean was lying about it. And they kidnapped. Oh no, was it season 8? Oh, no, it was season 9. And they kidnapped. It was season 10. I remember it correctly. I'm doubting myself for no reason. I know this. And they kidnapped Crowley. And then he was addicted to human blood. It was a whole thing.
Very nice, very nice.
Anyways, and I think Sam was just sitting like this because he's boring. He didn't want to lie on the table.
She's boring, yeah.
Like, he was lying on the table. Like a true champion.
It's a very riveting story.
I know. It's very riveting. Bridgman Park used to be our hangout when we were kids.
It was.
Used to
Going
hang
back
out.
to our roots.
Do you remember we went here with like William and Matthew and Cameron? Do you remember when Matthew, he like fell off the swing and he like
Yeah.
he cracked his head or something and he had to wear a diaper on his head because of the blood. That was pretty funny. My mom used to nanny some kids and then like we took them to the park and one of them like just like fell down off his swing and just cracked his head. It was kind of funny because he had to wear a diaper. We thought it was amusing because we were like 5 idiots. Everyone thought it was amusing. You were like a little baby, Julia.
Yeah, I
'Cause
don't
think they
really
were your
remember it.
diapers.
Stole one of my diapers.
Stole your diaper. And it looks the exact same.
Yeah, it hasn't changed at all.
We thought it changed, but no, it's the same radial.
No, the parking lot has changed though.
and
Very,
then, like added trails over there.
Yeah.
But not that radial playground.
No.
No, heaven forbid Bridgman Park changes radial playground. And this pavilion's still here.
Yeah.
So that's good. You wanna get like a wide shot of it?
Sure.
Get
There
the
it
tree.
is.
Wow.
Wow. There's Maya.
Car over there.
Park the car over there. Wow. Look at
Beautiful.
that.
Crowley was in the trunk over there. It was a good time.
It's a great time.
Great time. That's it. We just came for the pavilion.
Okay. Yeah.
So loud. Okay. This is the entrance to the bunker. As you can see, after Sam
Very
left,
glamorous.
it went to shit, basically. See, this is what happens, Sam. When you leave it, people come and graffiti.
Yeah.
People throw traffic cones in there.
Yeah.
How dare they disrespect this place? It is, we definitely use a lot of CGI.
Yeah.
Like a lot more than they did at Crowley's place. Because like, it almost is unidentifiable. It looks so different.
Yeah.
But Yes, look, there it is. The entrance. Wow. Go in there and finally figure out the goddamn layout of this place. Wow.
Wow.
I don't know why they filmed under here. It's so
Yeah.
Like, how could they have
Really
possibly
make much sense.
gotten like any good shots? We're right under a bridge. There's trains over there. There's a harbor over there. This is a sketchy ass area.
Yeah.
Natural. Aw, someone drew a little angel and a deer out.
Aww.
Look at that. Wow. I mean, the graffiti's nice. This is Vancouver for you.
Wow.
A cesspool, basically.
Absolutely.
This is pretty much represents it, you know. This is what CGI can do,
Yeah.
basically. A lot. I was hoping I could go like down there. I mean, there's a little. I don't think I should go down there. I'm afraid of what's down there. Okay, that's pretty much it. For this portion, I actually don't have any vlog footage of us going to the car repair place that for some reason I don't remember the name of at this moment, but it was in the little title card. What ended up happening is we did go. There was like people actively working there, and it was not what thought it was. So it's supposed to be like Bobby's auto repair, Singer Auto Repair, or whatever it was called. And I was under the impression that like the entirety of like the scrapyard and the junkyard was all filmed at this one location. That is not the case. Supernatural actually brought in their own cars and like would change up the entire layout of this repair place that actually exists. So when I went there, it was not exactly what I thought it was going to be, but I'm gonna overlay pictures of them talking about it. But basically, it was really anxiety provoking for me and my sister, mostly just because we both have some mild social anxiety, and going in and asking if we could take pictures when they were actively working, even though they were very nice, they let us do it. It was just too much for us to vlog, so we just took the pictures and left. It was really, really weird because I went in and I was trying not to say that I was a Supernatural fan trying to get pictures, but they deduced it very quickly when I was trying to be like, okay, well, where's like the scrapyard? And we like walk around, and they were like, what? And I was like, Anyways, they deduced it very quickly. And my sister actually stayed in the car for the part where I was explaining the mission because she was too anxious to go out and have these people hear what we were doing, which, like, fair enough. But yeah, it was too awkward for us to vlog, but we took pictures, and so we did go there. It was fine. It was a car repair shop. You can kind of see they did a lot of changes to it for the set, and they hadn't used that as a set in a very long time, since like season 7, I think, or like season 6 even. So it has been a minute since we used it as a set, and so it had changed a lot. Where some other places had like Riverview Mental Hospital, nothing was changing because it was already a rundown, abandoned place. And some of the other places were just like staying the same, but this place, it looked like they had done a lot of changes to it. But yeah, we went there, so that is a story why there's no vlog. It was my own awkwardness. I did not want to vlog in front of those people, and yeah, so I think that's pretty understandable. Thank you so much for watching. So I am going to do like a more formal conclusion in a separate video, because this video is already super long and I wanted just to make sure that I got everything done. I didn't want to do a part 8. My editing software sucks as fuck, so I can't do anything past like 2 hours 10 minutes uploading, especially if it's something complex. So I just decided that I would do a separate smaller video that would be posted around the same time as the final part, and that will be the formal conclusion. But other than that, that is the end of this series. Wow, we did it.